Chester is one of the most historic and influential cities in Britain. With the influence of Roman rule apparent across the city, the River Dee acted as a perfect way to deliver goods and open trading routes. The Chester Canal was opened in 1779 and boasts 14 locks and a journey through the heart of Chester. The city's history does also translate to football. Chester has had a team since 1885. Chester City Football Club was formed in 1885 and played their home games at Sealand Road. The club fell into financial ruin in the late 90s and the club was dissolved on the 10th of March 2010. But not all hopes was lost. Here's the story of the rise of the Phoenix Club, the rise of Chester FC. I spoke with long-time supporter Alan Marriott, who has been supporting the club since 1970s. Despite moving away due to work, he still keeps a close eye on the Seals. I first started by asking him what were those days like when Chester City Football Club came to an end.
Yeah, I'd moved away. I now live on the Isle of Wight. I'm just retired as a newspaper editor, but I'd always followed Chester, and when I came back up to see my parents, I used to go to games, take my own kids to games. They loved it, going to watch Chester play with me. But the 2009 era was a black time. It was so sad to see it go, and the financial mismanagement. And I remember going to a game and seeing Stephen Vaughan, the then owner, at the game, and the writing was sort of getting on the wall then it was going down the tube.
Set up in 2010 by City Fans United, the club enjoyed success early on, winning 3 championships. Under manager Steve Burr, the club finished 12th in the National League and went on a cup run in the FA Cup when they unfortunately lost to Barnsley in a replay. In 2018, things began to get a little harder for the club, and ultimately they were relegated in that season to the National League North. In 2022, Callum McIntyre was appointed as manager of the club and led the team to 3rd in the table. He was named National League North Manager of the Year for 2022/23 season and having the best defensive record in the league. But what if the club hadn't managed to come through? What if there was no football team in the city of Chester? What influence would that have had on football in the area? Alan certainly thinks that it would have had a massive effect on Chester.
It's a very good question, because I think, to be perfectly honest, you see Chester and you think they deserve the size of the city and the surrounding area. We deserve to be punching a bit higher in terms of league position and fan base. That's taking nothing away from 2,000 people who turn up week in, week out to watch them at this level, which is great, which is far above most teams in that division. But the impact would have been, quite catastrophic on the city in a way. Not to a football team again. In a sporting terms, all things are relative even. But I think if when you see what's happening at, I'd hate to use the word, but Wrexham, you see what's happening there, and they've been so lucky to get what they've got from Reynolds and McElhenney. It's an amazing story, and if you're a Wrexham fan, you're loving it, aren't you? But it's just it's a chance in a million to get that, for them to put a finger on a map and choose Wrexham to get that support and backing that's brought them to where they are now.
Yeah.
And you never know what would have happened with Chester. Would somebody have come along and put their hands in their pocket and said, we can't lose that? Because I don't know.
But the great news is that someone did decide to back Chester Football Club, and over the years, through the ups and downs, the supporters have attended the games and have supported in their thousands. With only 5 games to go left of this current season, everything rides on these games as the side looks to get into the playoff places and push for promotion to the National League once again. All we know though is, despite whatever happens, those fans will be there, and Chester Football Club is here to stay.